Hey everybody, I wanted to record a very self-indulgent video where I extemporaneously ramble about the last video I made. And I wanted to do like, I don't know, one of those like typical YouTuber jokes where I tell you to like, comment, and subscribe in my best YouTuber voice. And I don't know, they were all bad and we're just going to skip it. Um, but yeah, it's too bad. I mean, I can't even sell out even if I wanted to. But anyway, okay, so I made a video about dogs this time, and despite the entire second verse, like comparing uh, dogs to transactional like relationships, um, I think this might be the least sexual song I ever put out there. Um, which is fun. I really need to expand my boundaries, clearly. Um, let's see here. So, just to kind of state my general MO from the start. Generally, I'm not deep down, I don't have that much edge, like in my own personal life. And, when you write a rap song, it needs some edge. And at some point, because I was trying to write rap songs, I thought it'd be good if I just basically assumed the worst characters possible and was able to say edgy dumbass things via these characters. And so at this point, a lot of the songs, usually I start with like, what's like the dumbest idea I could possibly rap about, and then go with that. In some ways, I do actually have opinions about dogs, but in general, like, saying en masse, like in a very unnuanced ways, dogs don't love you is a very, not not like a way to endear yourself to many people, which is why I thought it was a good idea for a song. So maybe I should start with my actual opinion on dogs. Like, dogs are okay, but most people like really, really, really like their dogs, and like I feel like project and extrapolate their dog's affection to places where it doesn't exist. Like dogs can be attached to you, like that's fine, but like, does a dog love you in the way humans love things? Like, hell no. Like, you almost certainly love your dog way more than your dog loves you. Like, I can't remember. I remember I was listening to some NPR article or whatever where they were talking about it. And, like, the guy who was doing it was some dog expert. But, like, I can't remember. I think it was, like, for some program or something where they, like loan out dogs to families or whatever. And the guy was just saying, like, yeah, a dog will be attached to a family, but then you give him to another family, the dog will be over in, like, 2 weeks. Like, he'll attach, they get attached to things, but they're not going to mourn you for the rest of your life and stuff like that. Anyway, so, like, the bit that annoys me is when just, like, people project the entire range of human emotions on dogs. The other stuff that annoys me is, like, I don't know, like, when like hundreds of people die in a movie and then a dog gets kicked and people are like, ah, how dare they kick the dog? I'm like, we just like murdered like 100 people. This dog just got kicked and made a whining sound. Like, it's not like, I don't know. Like, I feel like there's like a weird amount of misplaced empathy towards dogs that just kind of annoys me. Like, I have lots of friends that are great people. They love their dogs, but like sometimes the amount of resources that are spent on dogs that I don't think are really intelligent enough to realize how unbelievably spoiled they are. I don't know. It just sometimes it seems like, like whatever, people can have their hobbies and need to be happy, but sometimes it just seems like a misallocation of resources for dogs to be treated so well, in certain cases anyway. But all right, so let's look at the song. Okay, so here's when I wrote this song. So the Anime Babe song did really, really well, and I was really, really motivated to write rap songs. So unfortunately, I don't know the last time I wrote a new rap song. I've been finishing rap songs that I started in 2016 because I was super into it and I put a lot of energy into writing song ideas and stuff like that. And then at some point I just kind of petered out. And ever since then, when I want to make a new song, I just end up, deciding it's probably better to finish one of the ones I started. So So I was looking at this. I probably wrote the first verse of this in late 2016, and I wrote the entire instrumental in late 2016. And at the time, I thought the instrumental was pretty decent. You know, I mean, it's not like, I mean, it's like intentionally, like supposed to be, you know, sweet and nice and just like do 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 do. I could be wrong. When I first wrote whatever that intro riff is, this one right here, I thought it sounded like a Red Hot Chili Pepper song or something like that, but in reality, like, I can't remember what the exact chord progression is, but I think it's like literally that, like, it's like the most generic chord progression on the planet. So the fact that it sounds like other things doesn't really matter. It's not the same. I just kind of spat it out, and it sounds good enough. But let's see. So yeah, I wrote the first verse and a second verse that is totally different. I had a really bad chorus, and I had this instrumental, and then, like I said, I kind of fell off on finishing these songs. And so at some point here, I decided that this was going to be the one I was going to finish next. Maybe like a couple months ago, because it had been a year since I put out a video, I was like, oh, I finally sat down and like I wrote a new chorus. The old chorus was really bad. And then like maybe a couple days ago, someone was nagging me via comments. Thanks for nagging me. I respond to people nagging me via comments, by the way. And I sat down and rewrote the second verse because I didn't like the second verse in the old second verse. And that was enough. I was happy with the first verse. I was happy with the second verse. I was happy with the chorus. I was happy with the instrumental. So, I mean, it still takes a long time to put the video together, but like those are like, after that, in my mind, most of the creative process is done, and then it's just like a vehicle for just putting shit together. Anyway, once again, you know, I'm really maximizing this video for entertainment purposes, but thanks for sticking with me if you find this interesting. So let's look at this. You know, every time I had like envisioned this video in my mind, I always imagined puppies running towards the camera, maybe chasing after a ball. This was the closest video I could get that did this. I think it worked out all right. I was trying to kind of time this where the second puppy comes in during the drum break. Rough day at school, hard day at work. Everyone you know seems like a jerk, but there's one face always waiting to greet you. It's me, your dog, always happy to see you. Okay, here's an actual opinion I have. At some point in my life, I realized that I think... Did I say this? I don't know if I said this in another commentary video, but who knows. But at some point I realized that I think storytelling is generally better when done in first person, if possible. Now, I think it's harder to do things in first person, but I think first person has a higher potential, ceiling, and will be better than like basically third person or omniscient narratives by definition. I noticed this where I think I read the book Lolita, which is a tremendous first person book. Like I'm not gonna explain Lolita if you don't know what Lolita is, but like that book should be horrible on paper, and the writing and the tone is so interesting and walks such a delicate line. I was like, man, like stories from a first person perspective, if done well, are amazing in a way that I don't think third person omniscient stories are. Same thing. I read the book The Forever War, which is another book I really recommend. And that was in first person too. I'm like, oh yeah, this was better that it was in first person. Like it easily could have not been. But I just realized I just have like more respect and more appreciate first person narratives. That's another good one. Okay, for example, Harry Potter should be first person. It's dumb that it's not. Like the reason why it's not is because Harry Potter isn't himself an interesting character. But that book's so weird because it basically is a first person book. Like the third person omniscient narrator follows Harry Potter around exclusively and like intentionally presents information from his perspective. You just don't get any insight from him as a character because it's third person. Like if Harry Potter was an interesting character, And like, here's the thing, maybe he is, but it would just be harder to write that or something, and they didn't go with it. Like, if you think about Harry Potter, the whole book would be better, the entire series would be better if it was written from Harry's perspective and Harry was interesting to listen to. I mean, I think the problem is he's like 10. Like, I'm sure it's hard to like make an interesting character who's like 10, at least in the beginning. But I feel like, I don't know, I feel like you still get the downsides of that stuff. Like in book 5, the book is insufferable because Harry's a whiny 15-year-old, and you're still not even, like, you get the downsides of first person and not even the good sides. So in conclusion, because I have long-winded side thoughts, like maybe like very initial drafts of this song were maybe just like from like a third person perspective of me just talking shit on dogs. And at some point I realized, no, it's much, much, much better if I'm the dog talking shit on dogs, or talking shit on the people that personify dogs too much. And yeah, that was a much better idea. And that's kind of what I mean, do I do that in all my videos? I don't really know. Usually, like, kind of the whole point of all the videos or songs I'm doing is I'm taking the perspective of someone who's really into this dumb idea. And I find it more interesting, like, you know, talking about someone who's obsessed with anime and just me, you know, me talking about anime in a positive way, but in a way that's like so obviously flawed that meta me is clearly making fun of it, if that makes sense. Anyway, so you notice I'll do this a lot in a lot of the songs where they'll kind of be like an 8-bar setup, where the first half of the first verse, it's not necessarily clear what I'm talking about. And then at line 8, I'm going to reveal what the song is really about. Whether it's like, let's legalize incest, or you should masturbate to anime girls, or in this song, it's that your dog doesn't love you. But it was fun to write this first 8-bar section where it's just like a happy dog song. Like, your dog's there to support you. Like, you know, I thought that was still funny to write. Let's see here.
Where would you be without such a good boy? Me wagging my tail, your heart filling with joy. Let's go for a walk. Cuddles, I'd love to. There's only one problem. I don't fucking love you.
You know, so on one hand, I've literally slowly made this video over the course of years and had lots of time to think about certain things. On the other hand, it also just kind of comes together at the end, and I just want it to be over. So, like, I don't know. Was there a better shot of a dog not loving you? Like, I feel like it should have been more dramatic than this particular video I went with. But, I don't know. There's something about the whole family just loving up on this dog. This dog just looking dead in the camera and seemingly not caring. Like, I don't know. To me, this dog just looked like he was going through the motions of getting pet and being a family dog, but he doesn't give a fuck. Is how I kind of imagined this video. So yeah, here's where we turn. I think at various points, sometimes I censor, like, if there's not that much swearing, like, as much as I love to swear, as long as there's not, like, sometimes I, like, with some of the songs, I was intentionally trying to not swear and not use it as a crutch. In this song, I just didn't care. Like, okay, I was partially thinking about bleeping it out with barking. Like, I don't fucking love you, like something like that. But I just didn't care. Like, I just left the swearing in. Well, in the second verse, the line about fucking erase you, fucking replace you, I liked the way I liked just keeping the F words in there, so I just kept them in for the whole song.
I'm a dumbass dog. I can't fucking think. I'm a trash thing animal running off instinct. I like balls that squeak because I think they're dying. You think I love you? I was fucking lying.
Okay, so back when I don't know. Basically, at my old job, I worked with a bunch of ladies that really love their dogs, but like in a really, I don't know, it's like all they talked about. Like, I'd say I'm neutral towards dogs. Like, you know, I've had girlfriends that had dogs. Their dogs like me. I like their dogs. It's fine. But like, I'm just kind of like neutral. Like, I could take it or leave them. They're okay. And these coworkers I had just wouldn't shut the fuck up about their dogs. And that's kind of like, it kind of drove me crazy. And I looked up a little more because, like, more stuff that drives me crazy is like, your dog descended from a noble wolf, and they've been best friends with humanity for 20,000 years. Like, I looked at, like, I'm pretty sure that shit isn't true. Like, Like, dogs aren't like wolves. They're like domesticated wild dogs. Like, wild dogs exist. You know what I mean? And wild dogs, my understanding, I mean, the main difference between like a wild dog and a wolf is like a wolf will not be within like 100 yards of a human. Well, wild dogs don't care. Even a wild dog, you could walk right up to it. It might bite you, but it's not gonna just immediately run away. And the whole thing with wild dogs is they're scavengers. So they were in closer proximity to humans because they would eat the trash of early cities, or they would eat corpses, which dogs still do, and we'll get into. But so that's just another thing. Like, oh god, I think there was some stupid I saw a trailer and my eyes rolled the back of my head. There's some movie where it was like, oh, the origin of the greatest friendship ever. There's like a caveman boy or an ice age boy and a wolf form a friendship. I want to die. This is just like dog propaganda. I think if you look up the Wikipedia article of the phrase "man's best friend," that phrase is like, I don't know. We could look it up here, but let's not look up. It's not that old. It's like that. The Wikipedia article is interesting, where it talks about like dogs as a whole weren't like really pets until like the last 200 years. Like, it's a relatively recent thing. So there's all this like retrospective dog propaganda that drives me nuts. But in conclusion, dogs are fine. I listened to all these coworkers talk about how dogs were better than children and people and blah, blah, blah. And it drove me crazy. And, maybe I went down an anti-dog wormhole on the internet. And maybe I looked up the wrong things. But like I said, I'm generally wasn't like trying to like look up anti-dog propaganda. I was just kind of looking like, what is the origin of dogs here? Are they noble wolves? I don't think so. Anyway, let's go on.
Our special bond's a delusional dream. Like, come see me, the manipulation machine. Hostile dogs just don't get bred. I'm an affectionate friend that poisons spread.
Okay, so I actually alluded to this point in the robot sex video. Enjoyed Gynoid is the official name I think I gave it. Where when I was trying to justify why having sex with robots is okay. By the way, having sex with robots isn't okay, but sometimes you put on. In most of these songs, I'm exaggerating. I'm picking a dumb point of view and trying to justify it, even if I in real life think it's dumb. But I was making the argument at that point that like programming a robot to have sex with you is like not completely dissimilar from dogs in the sense that like we bred them to be affectionate towards us, and if a dog was a huge asshole that couldn't be trained, that dog didn't we didn't tame that, we didn't keep breeding that dog. So I mean, dogs are nice to us and have attachment towards us, but we also filtered them in that way. Like, it's not, I don't know, it doesn't seem like completely organic affection, if that makes sense. So that's with the line of hostile dogs just don't get bred. I don't know. In retrospect, I was like, is there maybe there is like a pun there of like hostile dogs don't get bred, like they don't get food, like bread isn't the food. I didn't intentionally write it that way, but later I thought like, oh, maybe that's the stupid double meaning of this line. Who knows? A lot of Jack Russell Terriers in this song. That's just what Shutterstock has. Shout out to Frasier. It's a great show. Okay, so the chorus. There is a subreddit called I Lick the Bread, and lick is spelled L-I-K. And it's where people write poems from animals' perspectives. And the structure is, it's usually 4-syllable lines, and to me is written in this usually they're intentionally spelled bad. And it's just like, I am a dog, my name is Steve, I run around and get the weave. Like, I don't know, I made that up. But it's just something like, it just follows that pattern. And so at some point I had the idea that, it would be funny if my chorus was written in that style. But obviously about something fucked up, in this case, dogs eating human faces. By the way, dogs eating human faces is real. Once again, dogs are domesticated dogs are tamed or domesticated wild dogs. Wild dogs are scavengers. Wild dogs eat corpses. I don't know. I think it depends on the breed, but I did look this up once. Depending on how close to how much of a killer instinct a dog has. Like, it just at some point, you're gonna smell like a corpse. You're not gonna smell like you anymore, and then you just become food to the dog. And like someone did in a comment, and it was a very nice comment person who did that comment. But like someone was saying in a comment that like, oh, dogs only eat your face if they run out of food. No, they like I looked this up. They definitely will eat your face even if there's food available. Like a fresh corpse is way better than dog food. Like I don't know. Like okay, this is another fun example to look up. The first person that got a face transplant was like a French woman who tried to commit suicide. She like OD'd on painkillers, and while she was still alive, her dog ate her face off because the dog thought she was dead, and so that woman got a face transplant. And okay, what drives me crazy about this is, so that dog got put down because it was a face-eating dog, and the woman was super pissed about it, and she had like a picture of her dog next to her while she recovered, and then when she finally recovered, she just bought that exact same dog breed again, which like seems that dog ate your face, man. Like I don't know, that's the kind of stuff that drives me crazy. But also, like, once again, like, this gets to, I get more into this into the second verse, but like, man, what a profound and deep love where you just buy another version of that dog and like mentally replace it with, like, I don't know, that also seems weird in terms of your eternal unabiding love for this thing. Like, I don't know, like, yeah, it's weird. Like people would be offended, like if someone's child died and you said, why don't you guys just have another child? Like they would, like everyone would say that's a weird, offensive thing to say. But I mean, that's essentially like, with people and their fur babies, that's essentially what they do. I don't know. Dogs are fine. I'm just bitter in a weird way. Ignore me.
If you fall down, don't wake up. Leave me alone, you little pup. I'll rub your nose, lick your feet. If you don't move, your face I eat.
All right. Just to point out flaws in this, I was doing a bunch of takes of this chorus, and I was trying different voices. So I'm pitch bending the fuck out of this. So like I'm reading it more like, if you fall down and don't wake up, leave me alone, your little pup. Like it's, that's like the voice I'm using, but I don't know. I usually want it higher and weirder sounding. But like for whatever reason, like I kept doing other takes and they kept sounding like my voice too much, even when I fucked with them. And this take sounded different in a way that I liked, but if you listen to this, I blow into my mic way too much. So there's a bunch of like air sounds. Now that I pointed this out, I will ruin this chorus for you. And so I was doing a bunch of takes, and basically, like, if I was smart, I should have just waited a day and tried again, and then I would have got a good take. But I kind of just wanted it done yesterday. So I was like, fuck it. No one's going to notice the fucking, like, puppy, like, when it sounds like that. No one's going to notice it. I notice it, but whatever. It's like, it's not that big. I don't know. Like, when I did anime, if you look at Anime Babes and Legalize It, I actually went to a studio, so you'll notice the mic quality is a lot higher than what I'm currently doing in my current songs. But I moved, and so I don't know a good studio situation anymore. And even then, I don't think anyone notices. Like, I'm not, hypothetically, if I make it big one day, we can re-record all these songs and make them way better. But for now, it's just like, I don't know. I'm using Shutterstock footage. Like, there's an intentional lo-fi element to these songs. My microphone fell. Let's see here. But yeah, let's go back to the face eating.
My bowl was full, but let's be real. Your yummy face is a better meal. I'll miss you much, my special dude. In life and death, you made good food.
All right, in Life and Death, you made good food. I thought that was a good line. Also, I generally care about syllable count a lot, and the line, what was it? It's oh god, now I'm spacing. I could do it if I reset it. If you fall down and don't wake up, leave me alone, your little pup. I'll look in front of another faint. You don't move your face, I eat. All right, my bowl is full, but let's be real. Your yummy face is a better meal. So your yummy face is a better meal is wrong, because it's 9 syllables. So if you said it out loud, I can just kind of stick the is in between the 2 4-syllable sections. And it sounds fine if you say it out loud. But like from like a poem perspective, to me, it's wrong. And I don't know. I tried it where it's like your yummy face, a better meal. Like you can just not say is, and it's kind of implied and kind of makes sense. But I don't know. I just decided to stick the is in there and deal with it.
Though I have to admit that I'm quite the looker, but that doesn't excuse that you love a hooker. I'm like your trafficked wife, which I met at an airport when we go for a walk. Should we call it an escort? You saved me from a rescue, but I have an option. How is this not a Steven Tyler?
So the second verse here, I originally wrote a different second verse that was not as good. I don't think anyway. And I was looking at the lines I liked in the old verse, and for whatever reason, it was a bunch of lines comparing dogs to prostitutes. So when I rewrote this, I decided to double down on that and commit to that a little more. So I think the idea here was just what I was talking about earlier with dogs don't love you as much as you love them, just by virtue of the fact that they're dogs and you're a human. And I was just thinking, I was going with prostitutes, not to like say that people want to fuck dogs. That's a different song, which I don't really want to write. But just kind of the intrinsic, what's the word I'm thinking of? Like asynchronous relationship of just, how much you care about them versus they care about you. So like similar, just like, if someone was in love with a hooker, you'd be like, nah, man, like that's a transactional relationship. She doesn't love you kind of thing. Your stripper doesn't love you. Your mail order wife doesn't love you. And that was kind of the analogy we're going with here. By the way, I find this Steven Tyler line really funny. I don't know if anyone else thinks this is funny. I think if you Google Steven Tyler adoption, you'll see a couple articles on it. I think he had a 16-year-old girlfriend like in the 70s when he was in Aerosmith. I mean, he's still in Aerosmith, but like early 70s Aerosmith, mid 70s maybe, I don't know. He had like a 16-year-old girlfriend, and I don't know. I disapprove of that, by the way. But like technically, depending on what state you're in, like you can fuck 16-year-olds. In other states, you can't. And I don't know, I guess they're like going on tour or something, and for some reason they discovered that like if you adopt your girlfriend, like it's okay for you to like take her across state lines and things like that. Otherwise, it's like a weird trafficking issue if you're like taking a teenage girl that's not yours across state lines and stuff like that. So he got the parents to be okay with him adopting his girlfriend. Which is weird, and I don't approve of. But we made a cheap joke at it here, where I was trying to come up with a way to make fun of the concept of adopting a dog from a shelter. And I thought calling it a Steven Tyler adoption was very funny, in terms of it being a very self-serving adoption and not a real adoption. But I like these. I used them 3 different times. I like these dancing dogs. I used a lot of dumb green screening of stock footage here. That's like why you see the Shutterstock logo in different places. I thought these dancing dogs were super funny. And instead of finding new green screen dogs, I just kept using them.
For adoption, I'm your emotional support, your faithful guide.
Emotional support animals are dumb. Not in the sense of like, if you need emotional support animals for emotional support, that's fine. But like people abusing them to like pretend like they're service dogs is really disgusting. I went on a couple of dates with a girl who had been blind for a couple of years, and it was sweet. She had a service dog that, helped her for several years. And then she had like a surgery to get her vision back. And then so her service dog retired and just became her normal dog. But no, it was I knew this was a setup. I was like, tell me how you feel about like people that like buy fake service dog vests for them to wear, and she went off on them, and I thought it was very funny and satisfying to hear her complain about that. Oh, that said, as much as, I'm shitting on dogs here, whatever, like dogs can be cool. I was doing consulting at a rehab hospital, and they had therapy dogs, which are like failed service dogs, like um, they were trained to be a service dog, but for whatever reason, they weren't good at it. Like, I think in this case, like the dog wasn't strong enough, like it couldn't like open up refrigerator doors or things like that. So it became a therapy dog. So like people would be like, you know, like inpatient rehab. Sorry, okay, people think rehab, they think drugs. Inpatient rehab is like physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech therapy. And so the therapy, someone to be seriously hurt and they need to relearn how to walk again or something like that, and they would go to an inpatient rehab facility, and there was a cute little therapy dog that would I don't know, just was there to like motivate them. So like, if they need to do an exercise, like they need to reach up in the high or something, the dog, they would have the person reach up, and then the dog would like, do a hand, like stand up on their legs to like touch their arm. So they would reach their arm up. It was just like, they would just incorporate the dogs in the exercises to make it fun for the people there. And that was super sweet. Like I don't hate dogs like universally. And what was super funny though is those dogs that are like, super trained to be service dogs or whatever. Like this dog, I saw this dog like walk in, and it was just like, I don't know, like a normal, happy, like tail wagging dog, like that tried to jump on me. But it was very funny when you put on its little bandana. That's how it knew it was time to work. And it immediately went from just being a normal, annoying dog to being like completely still, but like, hello, would you like to pet me? You may pet me if you like. I'm here to work. And I don't know, it's like total mind shift. The way it totally changed when you put on its bandana was super funny. Actually, since I'm just doing dog stories now, so another thing, the thumbnail of this is the only dog I've ever liked. I was dating this girl who was in med school, and so like I had a job and had been living an adult life for a long time, and she had been like in med school. She had been living. We were like the same age, but like I had been working for a while, and she had just been still in college for a long time. So people have different. I always find it funny where I'm hanging out with my friends that were in grad school for a long time, because they still, even though they're like 26, they still have like a very college attitude about things, where it's like, bro, we can get half off apps at TGI Friday if we go right now. I'm like, who the fuck cares, man? Like, let's just go to a real restaurant. Like, I have a job, I have money, I don't have to couch surf or do any of that crap. So I was going on a trip with this girlfriend, and she was kind of in charge, and I figured she was gonna like couch surf me, and I was all like annoyed about this. And she did do a good job of planning this one, where I don't know, like one of her friends was house sitting a mansion, so we couch surf at a mansion, an empty mansion, and I was okay with this. If you want me to couch surf at mansions, I accept. And so her friend was babysitting whatever this dog was. And I was like, man, just being me, I didn't want to deal with whatever this dog was. But this mansion dog was hilarious in a way that I was completely on board with. So it's in the thumbnail. So it was like, just like, like a giant puffball of white fur. And you would pet it, and it was like the softest thing you ever experienced. And this dog had experienced no trauma in its life whatsoever. Like, I don't know, normally dogs are like scared of strange men. And like, I walk up to this dog, like, what up, dog? And this dog like rolls on its back, exposes its belly, and it's like, would you like to pet me, sir? Like, this dog has no fear, no trauma whatsoever. It was super, so basically it was a super spoiled mansion dog. And I was like, but like it played its role super well. It wasn't prissy. It just like presented itself to be pet and was like just generally happy to hang out. It was super funny. I was like, oh my God, this dog is like, so well maintained. Like how, like, and I was like, so the friend was like, I just took him to the groomer, And when I asked how much it was going to be, they said, "Oh no, he's on file." So I don't know. I just love this little dog who's on file at the groomer and goes like every other day or whatever. Oh, and the other thing that was perfect is this dog was named Beau, like the French word for beautiful. It was just the most pretentious ass name on top of it all. And in conclusion, I loved Beau. He was the perfect like little mansion dog, and I thought Beau was hilarious. And I annoyed that girlfriend by talking about Beau a lot. And I talked about him like, "It's Beau. He's so fluffy. Beau. Where's Beau?" It was super funny. So yeah, when I put this up, I had to dig through like ancient emails with this girl I don't like thinking about anymore to find this picture of Beau. I'm like, no, I need Beau to be the thumbnail. And let's carry on with the song. It's only a minute and a half, but it's somehow taking like half an hour.
Or really just a furry male order to ride. Please don't pretend that once I lose my charm, I'll get sent to that old-timey country farm.
So I mean, I don't know. I mean, assuming like, you know, when I'm not assuming most people are gonna kill their dogs if they become ugly, but I will say though, okay, there's an Onion article that you should all look up, and it's about how, okay, so the joke is, you know, when a dog dies and the parents are wusses about telling the kid the dog is dead, they just lie and say the dog moved to, hey, the dog needed to, you know, take a break, and he's living in a beautiful farmhouse in the country, and then the dog never comes back, you know. So there's an Onion article about how that farmhouse is real. All the dogs are there living an amazing life. But then there was a horrible fire and all the dogs died a horrible death. And it is a very dark but very funny Onion article where it just goes on and on about the horrible fate these dogs suffered. And at the end it kind of concludes with like, man, maybe these dogs should have just been put to sleep humanely instead of suffering at this this horrible barn accident. I don't know. I read that when I was working with those ladies that like dogs too much, and at the time it struck me as really, really funny. I read it out loud, and my boss thought it was really funny, and all the other people thought it was horrible. Anyway, I don't know. Somehow I found a Pet Cemetery Shutterstock, and I don't know if that was really that interesting. And then I added these ghost versions of these dogs, and then I thought this was hilarious. I'm assuming this one's Red and this one's Nelly. That's my head canon.
I'm too expensive and you'll fucking erase me.
I don't know. As much as I'm doing, you know, an anti-dog song, I didn't really want to like do a montage of like dogs getting murdered. So if you're interested though, this video was labeled a dog getting anesthesia for surgery, not a dog getting put to sleep. But I'm just kind of alluding to that here.
You call your Epstein.
So I actually really like this Epstein line. I like the idea that there is an evil international pimp for dogs. There's a couple images I could have gone with here. I was actually thinking about redoing the anime babes noose, but instead of having an anime girl behind it, it would just be a dog, which I thought would have been funny, although maybe didn't quite make sense. Instead, we went with a man getting choked for obvious reasons.
And then you'll fucking replace me, so I serve my master as your loyal pet. But please, skin.
I find the phrase "skin daddy" super funny. It's obviously an inversion of fur baby. In retrospect, I didn't spell check it this hard. Daddy's capitalized and skin is not. I feel like either both should be not capitalized. I feel like skin maybe should be capitalized in this context. But whatever. It's permanent now. There's nothing I can do.
Daddy, let us not forget. Prostitutes need money, cute dogs need food, but we still don't love you, even if we're nude.
I kept showing early drafts of this song to my friend, and he kept hating this line. And it was funny because like I think I showed him a draft like 2 years ago, and he hated this line. And he had since forgotten, and he saw this again. He's like, I don't like that line. I'm like, yeah, I know you told me 2 years ago. Whatever. I think the point of the nude line is even if they're putting out, it doesn't mean they love you. Like even if the dog's like, you know, anyway, you get it. Whatever. I don't need to explain jokes. The Shutterstock description of this was apparently this is in China. I don't know. Fun fact, I did, despite not buying any of this Shutterstock footage, this is canned sounds of a dog's at a kennel, and I did buy this. I am willing to buy stock footage and stock sounds. It's just, if I bought every one of these Shutterstock things, like each one of them is like $50. So like this video is like $1,000 or some shit. I don't know. Yeah, would not. And I think at this point, people like the lo-fi charm of the watermark. I'm making no money, obviously, but whatever. So that's our fade out with dogs. At one point, I was actually thinking about hiring a voice actress to do the chorus, and because I wanted them to do, in like cartoons and stuff, a lot of like, young boys have the voices of women where they're like, they have a high-pitched voice and then they make it raspy to like make it sound like a boy. And I thought a raspy, high-pitched voice would be a good puppy thing. So if I was going to hire a voice actress for it, I was going to have her like do a bunch of ad-libs, like ruff, or just whatever. And I could like use the barking for censoring, and I was kind of like the ending of Anime Babes, of just a cacophony of barks. But I don't know, it's just kind of, I don't know, I ended up just cutting bait with that and finishing it as is. Let's see, is there any other thoughts about this song? I don't know. It seemed okay. People didn't hate it. I lose all objectivity by the time I'm done with these songs. Yeah, I'm always kind of worried about putting out a song and just people are like, yeah, not your best work, man. So like, I'm not, like, I don't know if I'll, do something better than Anime Babes in the near future. But, just kind of like more of the same of people that like this style, trying to, at this point, I think it's fun because, I think people forget I exist because I put out like one video a year. So it is just fun to see people be like, oh, holy fuck, you're still alive? Shout out to Justin Y. I still only get any views on this channel whatsoever if I'm in a playlist of his. That's always hilarious. That's the only way I get any views. I sent him a message on Reddit the other day because I think he put Anime Babes back in his Great Ones playlist. I sent him a message of like, thanks again for being the only source of views I ever get. But also, I will say also long term, I used to make these videos by myself. I used to make, just write rap songs and record them and listen to them back. And I wouldn't show them to anyone. I would just listen to them and be like, yeah, that was pretty good. And that would be the end of it. So like the fact that like, the fact that I have, okay, like 3,000 subscribers ain't shit in terms of like the big YouTube game, but in terms of like, yeah, like a couple, I put out a video and within a day, a couple hundred people have watched it. Like, that's amazing. It's amazing. You can get any validation at all from this. So, I appreciate everyone who's into it. It's very fun. But yeah, I don't know. I've had a job for a long time. I'm getting a master's right now. Like just part-time, like taking a couple classes at a time. So, it's weird, on one hand, like I still have free time to do things, but, it's just like I have something I should be doing instead, which just really limits the kind of projects you take on, if that makes sense. So I don't know. This master's has made me a little more, is reticent a word? Reticent to like, yeah, let's like commit to making a 3-verse song or whatever. But anyway, I've rambled on enough. Thank you for making it this far. I'll see you later. All right, guys. I decided that the video wasn't long enough as is. I decided to add a extra exciting epilogue. I realized I never told the story of the Doberman that bit me. I think I put the comment, I got bit by a Doberman unprovoked today, so it seemed like a good day to finish the video. So yeah, so yesterday, I went for a jog in the morning, because we're currently in the Corona-19, or COVID-19 lockdown. Although I don't know, it's still kind of in the novel fun phase. For history's sake, if this becomes a horrible, if 2 million people die, we're at the a couple hundred people have died stage, so it doesn't seem like that crazy big of a deal yet. But anyway, so we're in like the lockdown, but I don't know, people still kind of go for walks and stuff like that. So I went for a jog at like 7 in the morning when no one was around, and I went to an elementary school that has like a flat blacktop because the area I live in is kind of hilly, and I just want to run in a flat circle. And this lady was there with her Doberman, and it was running around without a leash. And so the thing like sprinted across like this blacktop, and like I kind of stopped because was this a friendly like, hi, I'm a Doberman, or was this like some dog looking to kill me? So I just kind of stopped. And I don't have a ton of experience with dogs, so I don't know how one deals with aggressive dogs coming at you. So I just decided to stop. And it kind of like, I don't know, had a lot of momentum and kind of like went past me. And I don't know, like it seemed like it wasn't happy with me, but it went back to its owner. So I went jogging again, and then the dog came after me again. And this time it did not come back. And it like, I don't know, we were kind of jostling. And I don't know, it was just kind of like not moving and like standing sideways to it, if that makes sense. So at some point, I think this dog, I guess it bit the back of my leg. And I was wearing like thermal running, like pants, if that makes sense. So, it was kind of hard to tell. Like it didn't rip my pants, but it kind of hurt. But like I don't really know in the moment. And so eventually, this lady comes by. And like basically like acts like an offensive lineman between me and her dog. And at the time I was more worried about her giving me the coronavirus for being like, it's like, get away from me, lady. Like this is like, you're like 2 feet away from me, too close. So she says she's sorry, and I say your dog bit me. And then she pretty much walked away put the dog on the leash and then walked away. And at the time, I don't know, I didn't really have a lot of time to think about what should have happened. And so I ended up kind of like, I think I like, when she had left, I kind of like rolled up my pants to like look what had happened. It looked like it was scratched, but like not horrendous. And I ended up finishing my run, like, I don't know, maybe we ran for like another 20 minutes, and then I went back. But like, when I was like, went back in my apartment, I was like, nah, like, I mean, it wasn't like super substantial, but there's like a red hole there. And like it could be a lot worse. Like, I mean, the dog's like, he bit the back of my quad, which is pretty wide. So it's not like he can like, get his full mouth around that. So he kind of bit me, but I think it turned more into like a nip. But like, I don't know, it like broke skin and stuff. And I was more thinking about this. I'm like, I don't know. Like, what if I'm a 5-year-old and that was my face? Like, I don't know. Who lets their Doberman run around without a leash? So, like, I was like, I ended up like, okay, last year I had a lot of health problems, and I've subsequently got incredibly bougie insurance. So I called my incredibly bougie insurance, and they're just like, I don't know. We have an appointment right now. I'm like, okay. So I dodged a bunch of old people and went to this appointment. And they basically just gave me a bunch of antibiotics. Like, I didn't like, they're only going to give you rabies shots if you were bit by a stray dog, or like I was in a trip to Vietnam and got bit by a dog. Like, yeah, they would give you a bunch of rabies shots. But for me, they're just like, all right, here's some like antibiotics or something. Like the lady was a very Lululemon looking lady. So like, I doubt, like, yeah, this dog probably had shots. Like, I'm not going to get rabies. It would just be lame to get an infection from, someone else's stupid dog. But yeah, no, so the more I thought about this, I was like, I don't know, I kind of want this dog on the list. Like, it's the weekend still, but like, I was thinking like, no, I should like call animal control. Like, I don't need the dog put down. I don't want to sue the lady for my $20 medical bill, but, I just like, if the dog bit someone else later who was mad about it, I would want there to be the history of this dog biting strangers unprovoked. If it's a one-time incident and this is the worst it ever gets, like, whatever, that's not that bad. But like, no, if this ever happens again, that lady and that dog should be screwed, basically. So I just kind of want the record for it. And then at the second half of the day, I spent a couple hours finishing this video so I could express my feelings about dogs to the world.